sports.
We are Blackboard. We are Sports Zone.
Last night was an evening set for celebration, and these 2015 Braves didn't disappoint. High fly ball hammered towards center. Deep short, jump throw. Unbelievable. Line drive to center field. 2 runs are going to score. Strike 3 call. The Braves have won. Off to a 4-0 start for the first time in over 20 years. The Braves are one of baseball's best April stories. And tonight, Julio Teheran digs in opposite Braves nemesis Dylan G of the Mets. It's game 2 of 3. It's the Mets and Braves from Atlanta now. What has been a spectacular opening week for Major League Baseball in Atlanta continues here at Turner Field. It's been a steady drumbeat of victories for the Braves. They've won their 4th in a row, and tonight, oh baby, they go for number 5 as they play host to the New York Mets. This big series, as always, sponsored by our friends at Chevrolet. Can't start any better than 4-0 unless, of course, you go to 5-0. And who better than to have your ace, Julio Teheran, take the ball against the Mets in Game 2.
He was good in Game 1 down in Miami. Vintage Julio Teheran, who's been so good over the last couple of years, but only gave up one run down in Florida. And since 2013, a 3.01 ERA, 6th best in the National League. Last season here, he was very good again with a 2.11 ERA. Great numbers in his career here at his home ballpark. There's his line the other night as he picked up his first win against Miami.
But somehow, some way, partner, the Braves have to find a way to beat Dylan G. This guy has been a pest every time he's pitched against us.
14 starts against the Braves, a sub-3 ERA, hardly anything in terms of batting average. Now then, there's some new faces he's going to have to face tonight in a Braves uniform. And that group, not even as good as the original group, 210, 14 strikeouts. Terry Collins said about Dylan G tonight, he said he's a pitcher. He knows how to pitch. He knows how to use his pitches. We've seen him throw some really good games here. He's 3-0 over his last 3 starts against Atlanta.
So he's a special talent. We've already seen some special plays in this series. Coming up, Andrelton Simmons. He's putting on a show against Travis d'Arnaud, the Mets catcher. Jen will break that down for you when we come back to Turner Field after this.
from last night, it's a beautiful thing as the Braves bring a 4-0 record into tonight's matchup against the Mets. Hey guys, I'm Jen Hildreth. I hope you got a chance to enjoy some of the festivities here at Turner Field last night. Such an incredible collection of Braves greats, including Fred McGriff. And the game did not disappoint either. We had some great plays from our Gold Glove shortstop. That is our Zaxby's indescribably good plays. Man, if you're Travis d'Arnaud, you just hate to hit the ball to this guy. Because look, that was last night, okay? Simmons, nod, yep, doing my thing. Well, this is August of last year, only this time it was bottom of the 8th when Simmons does almost exactly the same thing to d'Arnaud. But guess what? He's not done. Nope. April of last year here in Turner Field, he makes a play from the seat of his pants to nab d'Arnaud. So you can hardly blame d'Arnaud when he was probably pretty happy to get Simmons out when Simmons was trying to get home earlier in the game last night. But in talking to his teammates, they say sometimes the best thing is just to get out of Andrelton's way.
I'm just going to stop diving, right? Yeah, I thought I was going to get the ball. I didn't get the ball, and I was like, oh, man, base hit. Nope.
You can go on and on about it, but he makes everything look easy, and baseball plays aren't that easy. So he's definitely a special player, and it's just been awesome to work with him.
We've come to expect the exceptional from Andrelton Simmons. You never know what you might get. Maybe we'll have more magic tonight. Starting lineups, first pitch, Chip and Joe will have your call. It's on the way.
Braves-Mets series is presented by Chevrolet. Another big crowd filing in on a gorgeous Saturday night here at Turner Field as Julio Teheran and Christian Bethancourt, the young Braves battery, hopes to make it 5 in a row to start the year against the Mets, whom they beat last evening by a final score of 5-3. Here's the Mets batting order. David Wright will bat and play second. He's a Braves killer, had a 2-run homer here last night. And the lineup, Joe, a little more salty with Lucas Duda, a 30 home run man, back in the lineup with the right-hander Julio Teheran pitching for the Braves tonight.
I just want Julio to try to get d'Arnaud to hit a ball to short. I don't care what else happens. I just want to see Andrelton Simmons break his heart again.
Yeah, he needs to send him a box of chocolates or flowers or something. He must have done something in a past life.
Or send the clubhouse guy over there to steal his glove. Maybe that'd be
an excellent start. But speaking of starts, the Braves 4-0 has to be one of the great feel-good stories in Major League Baseball. At the start of play today, the Braves were one of a handful of teams that have begun the season undefeated. The Reds were 4-0 but lost today. Colorado is 4-0. And in the American League, the Tigers and Kansas City off to 4-0 starts.
Fun to watch. The way the Braves are going about it is we just kind of keep harping on that it's It's the style we anticipated. It's the execution that they are delivering, and it is fun to watch. Let's just hope it continues tonight and goes as long as possible.
There's your umpiring crew for Game 2 of the series. Fielder Culbreth will have the plate. Marvin Hudson at first, Jim Reynolds at second, and Paul Schreiber will be the umpire at third base.
Good quartet there, good veteran group. That soft platoon at third base continuing tonight. Another good night last night for Chris Johnson, but right-hander on the mound, so Alberto Callaspo's back in there at third base.
And we're waiting the charge of Julio Teheran from the Braves dugout to get Game 5 of the season, Game 2 of the homestand underway tonight in Atlanta. The Braves are sporting their home cream-colored uniforms. Those are my favorite togs, I think, for the ball club. Great-looking jersey. And here comes Julio. He's ready to go. Julio was terrific in his first start, Joe, as you mentioned, against the Marlins. 6 innings, a run, 4 strikeouts.
24 years old, 6'2", 200 pounds at Turner Field. His last 30 starts here at his home ballpark. Outstanding numbers with a 2.36 ERA and a low batting average against. A lot of strikeouts. He's very comfortable pitching here in his home yard. And against the ball club, the Mets, where he's 3-2 in his lifetime. 3.25 ERA. Time for Julio's 4 keys to pitching success tonight. Number 1, April. He's 4-0 in his career in April, a 2.78 ERA. And against this lineup tonight, who gives him the most trouble?
Granderson?
Dude,
You've been saving up all winter to do that, haven't you?
5 for 17 with 2 homers against him.
You saw the Mets on the schedule. You knew he wasn't going to play Game 1. And here he goes on a Saturday night and ruins it for everybody with that singing. So here's the Braves defensive lineup. As Joe said, hit it to Simmons. And the Braves will be in good shape. He, of course, anchors things on the left side with Callaspo at third. Peterson back in the lineup at second. Freeman at first. And Kelly Johnson in the outfield with former Met Eric Young Jr. and Nick Markakis in right. And it sounds silly to say, but one big statistical difference between the Braves and Mets is in the error column. New York has made 4 errors, 2 of them last night, not including David Wright's mental mistake. The Braves, to this point, knock on wood, have not yet committed an error this season.
Only 1 walk for Julio in his start down in Miami. That came in the 6th inning. Struck out 4 batters. Retired the first 8 men he faced. First hit he gave up was a double to the pitcher, followed by a single by Gordon, and that was the only run he gave up.
Well, let's see if Julio can get his home schedule off to a great start tonight. Granderson, Wright, and Duda start things for the Mets. Granderson, a 20-homer man last year. 4 leadoff homers, 2 of them came against the Braves. You have to be aware of his aggressiveness early in the game. And he just missed outside, and we're underway. Perfect night. Gentle breeze blowing from left to right. Low humidity after all the rain blew through last night. 76 degrees officially at first pitch.
Perfect.
Hard hit toward left center. EY got a good jump, and Granderson's the first out. Well, the Mets have to feel good about David Wright's offensive game last night. Shoulder problems really sapped his power. But he's already on the board with his first homer and hitting a robust .353 to begin the year.
And as you said last night, he's just hoping that if he's going to bat second, leave him there. And right now he's doing just fine in that spot.
He jumps at the first pitch and right at Young again in center. Hard hit ball, but 2 are out.
Can't hit it much harder. But he hit it right at somebody.
Lucas Duda was the last out of the game last night. And the Braves, as they did in the 9th inning, will put on the radical defensive shift. Callaspo, the Braves' third baseman, is the man that moves all the way into short right field. As Duda goes to work, and he tries to spoil the shift, and he does with a gap shot toward left that'll get to the fence. Lucas Duda had a huge year last year for the Mets. He wears out right-handed pitching, and he has the game's first hit with an opposite field double.
Did you read the Ford Keys?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't have to go back. I don't have to revisit it.
Please don't sing them again.
All right. These guys are jumping on some early pitches from Julio too, like they want to get him early in the count.
Two outs and a hit versus Tehran on the first 5 pitches of the game. Here's Kadire. Michael at .235 for the year. And 1 for 4 last night. And Julio ahead of him. No balls, 2 strikes. You like the Mets acquisition of Kadire?
I thought it was an interesting sign given his age, but something they needed in their ball club. On their ball club, Terry Collins said today he's kind of providing that leadership in the clubhouse they were missing.
I know we in this sport talk so much about numbers, averages, and all the new sabermetrical analyses of the game. Freddie Gonzalez was talking about that before the game. You can't underestimate that leadership component. Kadire's providing it for the Mets. Tehran an impressive first inning, and the Braves will take aim at Dylan G in a scoreless first next. Success in the first week of the season. They're 4-0. Trying to make it 5-0 tonight. This starting lineup presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Young, Peterson, Markakis, the first 3 for the Braves. Freeman, Kelly Johnson, Callaspo, part of that platoon that Joe mentioned earlier. He's the third baseman. Bethancourt, Simmons, and Tehran against Dylan G.
He's out of Cleburne, Texas. 28 years old, be 29 later this month. 6'1", 205. Last 5 starts against the Braves can't get much better than that. That only loss was a game in which he pitched into the 9th inning and gave up a 2-run homer to Freddie Freeman to lose 2-1.
And he faces his former teammate Eric Young Jr. and he missed low, ball 1. Really is remarkable that Dylan G is still a Met. Remember, all offseason long, the papers in New York were talking about New York's need for a top flight shortstop. And it was rumored that Dylan G was one of the men that was being dangled. Well, that changed when Zach Wheeler had to have Tommy John surgery. G went from the bullpen back into rotation. And here he is tonight, making his first start of the season.
He's got a good cutter on his fastball, changeup, good breaking ball, throws in the low 90s.
Ground ball to first, and that's right at Lucas Duda for out number 1. Mets, as I mentioned, have made 4 errors this year. They had a sloppy night at shortstop, rough night for Wilmer Flores, but Terry Collins-Jones put it back in there with David Wright to his right, Danny Murphy at second, Duda at first, and then Kadire back at left with Lagares and Granderson in the New York outfield.
And a little bit of an aberration last night for their shortstop and the problems he was having. Looked like he was really afraid to throw the ball across the diamond after he caught it.
So ball 1 to Jace Peterson, the kid second baseman, hitting .200. Let's see how Flores does with this one. He got rid of it with no trouble and a perfect throw. And Jace is out number 2 for Nick Markakis.
One of the interesting notes on Dylan G coming into this opening season start for him is the fact that he's got a string of 46 straight starts of 5 innings or more. That's very impressive. It's the longest such streak in the majors.
A former 21st round draft pick for the Mets. Ray Corbett was the New York scout who signed him. Nick Markakis serves one toward left, and Kadire's there, and an easy inning for Dylan G. 9 pitches sent our game to a scoreless second.
Going back to that play, it was very, very fortunate for me in the sense that we had 2 outs. I didn't have to worry about where the ball was hit. You know, even with all that, I beat it by about 4 inches. So thankfully, the good Lord was with me, and it really went well for the Atlanta Braves.
An unforgettable finish to an unforgettable great game in an unforgettable season of Braves baseball. I mean, just great to see Sid Green here last night with all of the other Braves alumni for the 50th season opening celebration here at the ballpark. Daniel Murphy leads off for New York.
Talking to Sid about that last night, I didn't realize that Bobby didn't have a second baseman to go in of the tie game. That he had pinch hit for Lemke and everybody was used up. Don't have to worry about that, do we?
Nope.
Now or then.
Nope. Wonder if Barry Bonds still thinks to this day about taking Eddie Van Slyke's advice to move over a step or two. He didn't. As this ground ball should be easy for Freddie, and it is. It's funny, as I was saying earlier, we talk so much about the big plays in a baseball game and the big happenings over the course of a season. Something as simple as 2 steps might have been the difference between Breen being safe and out and maybe changing the fortunes of those 2 franchises for 15, 20 years.
Absolutely.
First ground out for Julio tonight. That'll bring up Juan Lagares. He's having a little trouble making consistent contact in the early days of the season. He's a free swinger, 16 at bats, and 6 strikeouts already.
That's why they can't bat him up higher in the order.
But there are no complaints at all about this guy's defensive work.
Anybody would love to have him on their ball club. Just looking to see how many home runs he hit last year.
Peterson at second, in between Hop, and he got Lagares by a step. Back ground outs for Julio, and there's out number 2.
He hit 4 homers last year.
4?
4. He hit 4 the year before that, 121 games. So the point is, you don't need to worry about swinging hard. You need to make more contact like that, put it in play, and find more holes.
Okay, here's our Simmons-Darno matchup again.
I want to put an ISO on Andrelton.
It's amazing to me how similar the last 2 hit robbing plays were for Anderton and Darno. This one took place in New York, but almost the same spot on the field, same catch, spin, jump, and almost as close to the bag.
And immediately Darno recognized what was about to happen. So as he was running down the line, you know how you think you'll run faster if you start throwing your head back and rocking it from side to side.
That's been my MO.
Yeah. I mean, he was trying everything to avoid it happening again.
3 balls and a strike. Darno has a 6-game hitting streak dating back to last season for New York. And the 3-1 pitch is out of play. We'll get a full count. Told you last night, Darno got off to a very rough start behind the plate for the Mets. Didn't have any luck at all at the plate. 9 RBIs in his first 39 games. They sent him down to AAA, got his stroke going, and he came back and hit .272 after being called back from Las Vegas. High fly ball toward left. But that's going to stay in the park. And Kelly Johnson makes the grab, and that'll retire the side. Freddie Freeman set to go to work for the Braves. He's a Mets killer. Let's see if he can put the Braves in front early. Everyone in Braves country knows about Chipper Jones' love of facing the New York Mets. Well, partner Freddie Freeman seems to be not that far behind.
Isn't this a great comparison? Obviously, Chipper's career spanned a lot of time, more than Freddie, but look at the similarities with the slugging percentage, the batting average, almost the same. It's just amazing how close together these guys are on what they put together against the Mets.
And here Freddie is with a .353 average to start the year. Popped up out of play. What's the explanation as to why Dylan G is so tough for the Braves to beat?
Well, like I said, Terry Collins says he's a pitcher. He's a guy who uses all of his pitches and can use them to both sides of the plate. His ball moves. He's got an excellent cutter. One that's hard to pick up, especially for left-handed hitters. That's pretty much it. Tough competitor. Last year, he ran into some health problems. He missed some time. He was on the DL with a strained right lat muscle and only made 22 starts for the year.
High fly ball to right. Granderson's going back, still going back. He's at the fence. He's going to leap. He's not going to get it. Freeman's on the board in the home run column. It's 1-0 Braves in the second.
Man, this was a pop bottle rocket. He just golfed that straight up in the air, and the breeze we have up high is blowing across toward right field. And I think it helped it a little bit.
And Kelly Johnson on the next pitch serves one right back through the box for his first hit of the season. So 14 lifetime homers for Freeman against the Mets. That's his second against Dylan G.
As we said, the other one was a game winner.
Alberto Callaspo off to a good start. He's 4 for 7. Big hole right side with Duda holding Kelly at first. Freddie's talked about a soft platoon at third base. To this point, Joe, no matter who he's played, he's gotten production out of the hot corner.
Yeah, the 2 third basemen so far, including Alberto, who's hit in 3 straight games. He and Johnson have combined for some excellent numbers.
And a couple of years ago, it was Chris Johnson and Juan Francisco who were hitting everything in sight. Chris eventually won the job, and Juan was sent to Cincinnati. Tonight it's Callaspo's turn to play. And here is that numerical look at the Braves third baseman, brought to you by Georgia Lottery's hitting the jackpot.
8 for 15 combined, 3 doubles, and just 1 strikeout. That's kind of in keeping with everybody else.
There's a good pitch. 2 balls and a strike. David Wright at third. Loads up. Murphy with a quick turn and a nice double play. I didn't think for a second they had a chance to get 2 out of that play, but Murphy got rid of it in a big hurry.
He did a good job of avoiding Kelly Johnson too. Kelly tried to trip him up a little bit, may have actually kicked him, but I don't see how it slowed up the throw at all. No, he did miss him.
So Christian Bethencourt's the batter. And Braves young catcher takes high, ball 1.
He's got some good late movement. Last 2 or 3 pitches that he has backed off on his fastball, that 83-mile-an-hour pitch is really dying at the plate.
To right and playable for Granderson. But Freddie Freeman and the Braves are on the board first. Freddie's first homer deep to right gives Julio Teheran a 1-0 lead after 2. And Freddie Freeman's homer gives Atlanta a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of a deja vu all over again here for Freddie against Dylan G. June of 2013, another pop bottle rocket hit a mile high. Hit that one a little bit farther than the one tonight, but almost the same pitch, kind of down and in a little bit. Look at O'Brien McCann. He can really dance and jump.
His dancing, you're singing, boy, oh boy, we'd have
yeah,
quite a show.
Have something going there.
Here's Wilmer Flores to lead things off for the Mets. 8-9-1 for Julio here in the 3rd inning.
How about the Yankees and Red Sox?
Oh boy.
Last night and then today. 19 innings last night. Took 7 hours to play the game and then had a day game.
They also had a rain delay and they had a power outage during that game last night. There were 627 pitches.
I was listening to the game driving home. There was a lot of disgust coming across the airwaves.
No, really?
Yeah. There was a little intimation of when is this game ever going to end, listening to the broadcast.
Well, the Red Sox came back and beat them again today. Yankees are struggling mightily at the start of the season. We'll see the Yankees later on this summer. New York's dropped 4 of its first 5 games. Good country hardball there, full count.
Flores is a big guy. He's not your Mighty Mike type shortstop. He's 6'3".
We're talking about him before the ball game today. Freddie Gonzalez and the media gaggle. Grant McCauley, who worked in the minor leagues and is a beat writer for CBS Sports here in town, watched Flores play in the minor leagues. He played third base, shortstop, and second base. And he didn't really have a position in the minor leagues. They moved him all over the place. As Teheran missed high and tight for ball 4. Wonder if that was or is part of the defensive issue that we saw last night. You know, he's not going to play third. He's not going to play second with Murphy here. So out of necessity, he has to play shortstop, and maybe that's not his best position.
Might not be. Maybe it's his third best position, but he did just fine there last year for them when he was put in that spot. Last night he just looked a little lost.
Dylan G laid down the bunt. Teran took a look at second, but gets the sure thing at first. Dylan G with 3 sacrifices last year has his first tonight, and the tying runner in scoring position for the top of the order.
That's what's so punishing about that leadoff walk to the 8-hole hitter. You put him on, you're doing them all a favor, because now all the pitcher's got to do is give you a good out with a bunt, and they've got a chance to tie the game.
Granderson fly to deep center. Then you've got to worry about David Wright. He's on deck.
Julio was pumped up when he started the season down in Miami. Remember, he was 94, a lot of pitches. That cooled off a little bit. Tonight he's been around 92, 93.
Sharply hit, caught at second, flipped to the bag, double play. Flores wandered too far off the bag, and he's doubled up, and the Mets' threat is erased on the base paths. Nothing going right for New York. Braves are cashing in every New York mistake and lead by a run.
Third up for Atlanta, public enemy number 1 for Mets catcher Travis d'Arnaud.
Simmons with a bouncing ball to David Wright. Easy out.
So no issues there, an easy out. I think that d'Arnaud breathes a sigh of relief probably anytime he doesn't have to get that close to Andrelton. Simmons, of course, you guys talked about earlier in the game how when it's flipped around and Simmons is in the field, he has this uncanny ability to rob d'Arnaud of hits. But I watched him as he walked up to the plate. Andrelton told me, no, Travis is a cool guy. You know, we talk every time we go up there. I just don't know if Travis would say the same thing.
He's taken away 3 hits from him.
It's just uncanny how that's happened.
G back to work. Got the 8th place hitter Simmons. Now the Braves pitcher Julio Teran, who picked up his first hit of the year in his start down in Miami. Speaking of the Marlins, they lost again today. Miami is off to an awful start. We'll see them in town next. So that'll be easy for Dylan G. Chris Archer and the Tampa Bay Rays 2-hit the Marlins in their home park today, beat them 2-0. Miami Miami blew a 7-run lead last night, came back and won in 10 innings, 10-9.
Archer's really good.
And he needs to be with all the injuries Tampa Bay has with their starting staff. Marlins here Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. Inside for Eric Young, who bounced out to Duda his first time up.
I mentioned that he missed some time with a lat issue. It's kind of reflected here in his first half and second half splits. The fact that he went 3 and 7 with a 5.10 in the second half is certainly not Dylan G-like.
Well, he's Dylan G-like tonight. The Braves have touched him for an early run. That's good news. Long. Save off the regular season game price and see the games you want with no restrictions. Custom build your 4-game plan or select a popular plan like the bobblehead, fireworks, or Sunday family plan today by visiting Braves.com/4game. 1-0 Braves on a Freddie Freeman home run.
Big home run last night for the Mets. After the Braves had taken a 3-0 lead, he started a little action going for them in the 4th inning with his 2-run shot off Eric Stoltz. John Mayberry Jr. followed with a back-to-back shot to tie the game up. 34th career homer against Atlanta.
And the man that Chipper Jones said he has, as he called it, a man crush on when he joined us in the booth last night. I thought you made a really good point too about David Wright. And it was even in tune, first pitch. But, you know, David Wright was a free agent a couple of years ago. He could have gone to the Yankees or the Braves or one of the LA teams. Instead, he decided to stay a Met. And he's under contract until the end of the 2020 season. And that says an awful lot about how much the Mets mean to David Wright and how much the addition of David Wright to the Mets for that long-term contract means to their franchise.
Well, a lot of strong loyalty. I mean, and it was at a time where they didn't have a whole lot working. They didn't have anything on the horizon that looked like they were going to have something working. And yet he chose to stay, weather the storm, and hope that in time they would be able to afford some guys that would make them better. And they're closing in on that.
And Chipper mentioned last night, and he's right, David Wright is the Mets' Chipper Jones against Atlanta. Check out these numbers.
Active players against Atlanta. He's 3rd in games and hits, 2nd in homers to Ryan Howard of the Phillies. Second and ribbies.
Teheran came back and struck him out. And that's an amazing stat. David Wright has more than one hit per game and averages an RBI every 2 games against Atlanta.
Boy, he just went right after him with a belt high fastball. Threw it right by him.
Second strikeout for Teheran. He's got Duda up there. Again, the Braves shift. Duda spoiled the shift. Hit a gapper to left center field for the Mets' first hit. It was a double. Last I heard, the Mets and Duda were trying to extend their relationship too. I'm not sure if that's been completed or not. Lucas had a 30 homer year last year, drove in 92 runs. Broke his bat. Peterson behind the bag. Good throw gets Lucas Duda. That just sawed in half. Have to turn that into a hatchet.
We talk about how good Julio Teheran is. I don't know if we talk enough about some of the company he keeps. Each of the last 2 seasons, he's with Kershaw, Scherzer, and Wainwright as the only pitchers that have at least 14 wins, 170 strikeouts, and a sub 350 ERA. That's outstanding company. Now, did those guys win more games than Julio? Yes.
Those guys all got run support.
Yeah, well, you put all those categories together, it gets, the funnel gets real small when you're able to accomplish all those things.
Kadire fooled badly. I mean, we talked about this down in Miami. Back-to-back years for Teheran with 14 wins. Last year he had a full run less run support on average per start. Yet he won the same number of games, pitched more innings. Went over 200 innings for the first time in his big league career.
And he only won 1 of his last 5 starts. That's why he finished up 14 and 13. As things were going south for the Braves in September, so were they also for Julio because of that horrible lack of run support.
Kadire calls that one foul and stays alive. No balls, 2 strikes. Swing and a miss. Boy, a couple of great breaking balls in that sequence to Kadire. Teheran has struck out 3 men. He leads by a run. Look at this ball dart down and away. Good work for Julio. Inning, Jace Peterson Nick Markakis and Freddie Freeman are up for a second time against Dylan G. Dylan doesn't waste any time, does he?
No, he doesn't, and he's sneaky quick. I don't know if he's thrown a 90 fastball yet. He may have one or two, but most of them have been 88, 89. And he backs it off there. That was a good off-speed pitch at 81. So again, he's a pitcher. He knows how to pitch. He knows how to use both sides of the plate and all of his pitches.
And he just struck Peterson out. Leadoff man down here in the Braves' fourth.
Change up. Perfect pitch.
First strikeout for G. And Markakis bats. He fly to left. Let's play him as a pull hitter. Look how far off the third base line David Wright is. That's another area where the modern game has changed so dramatically. The emphasis on defensive shifting, the advanced scouting. And that one off the knuckles out toward Murphy, who bobbles. Flores was there as well. Murphy called him off, couldn't handle it. And Markakis hit it into the shift, but is aboard with one out.
Yeah, Murphy had to swoop in to try to catch it on the run, trying to go toward third base. And you see where Flores is. He's right there. And the Braves can capitalize on this. Another mini shift here, this one for Freddie.
Credit Markakis with an infield hit. That's the official scoring.
Really?
Uh-huh.
All right. For Nick. You know, there's some talk in the wintertime about what are they going to do to try to help the hitters increase offense. And one of the things they talked about was maybe banning the ability to shift the infielders. Really? Are you kidding me? I think that's almost begging if you're a hitter.
Right.
You know, it's like, hey, they're cheating. And I want to pull the ball all the time.
Well, you and I communicated via email. That great video of George Brett, the interviewer, talked about that exact same situation. He said it should be the easiest thing in the world. They give you the left side of the infield, poke a single the other way one time, and that'll get rid of the shift.
Yeah.
Flores flips to Murphy. The throw first, not in time. I don't know if Flores had trouble getting the ball out of his glove or if he had to wait an extra step for Murphy to get to the second base bag. That was a slow developing play. They get the force out though for the second of the inning.
Yeah, it looked like almost like he got taken by surprise that they were going to have a play at second. It's almost like he got set to throw to first and then realized, oh, I forgot they had a runner at first.
Kelly Johnson singled up the middle last time up. That's exactly where the Mets shortstop is playing him. Kelly now 16 hits away from 1,000 in his big league career. Nice round milestone for Kelly to get here in April, perhaps. One ball, two strikes.
See, and there he humps up, fires one at 91.
And a swing and a miss. G gives up an infield hit but strikes out a pair in the fourth. We're zipping merrily along. 1-0 Atlanta headed to the fifth. Upcoming season by attending the Braves leadoff luncheon this coming Monday, April 13th in the 755 Club here at Turner Field. You can have lunch with your favorite players, coaches, and executives. Space is limited, so visit Braves.com/leadoff now to reserve your seat.
This nifty is pretty clever. Well done, young lady.
Murphy, Lagares, and d'Arnaud for the Mets. Because we had a rain delay last night and the game lasted as long as it did, the Braves were not allowed by city ordinance to have their fireworks show after the game. They've moved it to tonight. Slashed out a play by Murphy. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Still get a good number of Mets fans here at Turner Field every game, every time the Mets are in town. A lot of blue shirts, t-shirts, and jerseys over behind their dugout along the third base line.
Swing and a miss.
You can hear them booing at this point.
Yeah. Teheran with his 4th strikeout. Struck out 3 of the last 4 hitters. Doesn't take much for them to be in midseason form for that, does it?
A midseason boo.
The Mets off to a good start. Took 2 out of 3 from the Nationals. Middle game here in Atlanta. Their home opener will come on Monday against the Phillies at Citi Field. And according to the Mets, they're expecting a standing room only crowd. That's great. Their first game. Lagares off stride, popped it up. Be handled by Freddie Freeman at first. Lagares is 0 for 2. And here's d'Arnaud again. He hit it toward Simmons, but about 150 feet over his head to left, and flied out his first time.
Aaron Harang is going to get that home opener.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a great ballpark for Aaron to pitch in. He pitched well in his Phillies debut the other day. Tonight the Phillies have Cole Hamels on the mound against Doug Fister. Washington without Worth, without Rendon, not scoring many runs. They've scored 7 runs in their first 4 games.
Not playing good defense either.
Bruno quickly down 0-2. And he hits another one high in the air toward left. Kelly Johnson on the run, checks his position. To the track he goes and makes the grab. The ballpark big enough to hold that drive by d'Arnaud. Julio gets him in order again in the 5th. 1-0 Atlanta.
Have to be in the lineup, the starting lineup, to make a big impact last night. Used some of his football moves, he told me. And yeah, Atlanta Braves fans, watch the guy making the sack here. Number 6 from McNeese State. That would be your starting second baseman. Jace Peterson played 3 years of college football, grew up a huge LSU fan. Yeah, that's LSU that he is making the sack against there. And then he told me in the 8th inning last night, that little move to avoid the tag. He said, yeah, I think football probably helped play a part in that a little bit. Just the mobility, the movement, the timing of everything. And Chip Joe, I know you guys have talked about it. He brings that mentality, too, that football competitive mentality into baseball as well.
He sure does. And as we know, he's not the first 2-sport threat to play for the Braves. Deion Sanders, of course, and our own Brian Jordan.
That's a pretty good lick he got for that sack and fumble.
Fastball out of play, foul. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
He's getting outs with different pitches. He struck out Kelly with a couple of fastballs that ran away off the plate at 91. Two-seamer that had a lot of late action on it. Struck out Jace with a changeup, looking. He's had Callaspo out on his front foot.
That's got to be an uncomfortable feeling as a hitter when you go through a lineup a second time and there's nothing you can eliminate from the starting pitcher.
Yeah, in the past, the team the last couple of years when he's kind of owned the Braves, there was an understanding that he wasn't making any mistakes for the home run guys. So they were constantly swinging at his pitch, trying to hit home runs. Now with this group, things You would expect to be a little different, a little more of a battle with all of his pitches, because these guys like to put the ball in play more. But he's given up only 3 hits. One was a long one.
That one popped down the right field line, and it's going to drop. And Callaspo's on his way to second. It's like he hit that with a squeegee. I mean, it made a big sound. It didn't go anywhere, but it found a whole lot of grass for the 4th Atlanta hit.
Just to hit this little sponge ball out there. Good start to the inning.
So let's see if Bethancourt can get him in, or at the very least get him over. You've got Simmons, then the pitcher, Julio Teheran. Braves hit the Mets 4-1. Freddie Freeman's homer, the only run-scoring blow to this point. It's into the seats for a strike.
This statement is only meant for purposes of explaining how I like watching this type of baseball. It's not a condemnation of anything that's been going on the last couple of years.
Look at Bethancourt down the right field line. He's going to drive home Callaspo. Now he's going to try for 2, and he's going to beat the throw. That is Braves baseball encapsulated in one play. Put it in play, hit it the other way, take the extra base, and Bethancourt is rewarded to make it 2-0.
And that's pretty much where I was headed. The last couple of years, the offense has been dictated by home run balls. And as the home run ball came and went, so went the Braves' fortunes. Yeah, you might get a 3-run inning or a Curly number because of a home run ball. This year, there's going to be more innings like this, and there may only be 1-run innings. But I think the possibility and the opportunity to get those 1-run innings are going to be so often as compared to waiting for a home run that it's going to be fun to watch, and it's going to be exciting baseball.
And I would think from a pitching standpoint, the lightning strike of a 2-run home run or a 3-run homer, that's hard to deal with. But the old death by 1,000 cuts inning, where you see 6-7 guys with 6-7 pitches per at bat that maybe scores 2 runs, that's got to be mentally and physically taxing.
Ask any pitcher. I think they'd rather pitch to a lineup of guys that are big free swingers, knowing that they've got places to go for outs.
Simmons the other way as well. That's going to bring home Bethancourt. Everton on his way to second. Granderson digs it out, and Simmons will stop with a double.
And an 0-2 pitch. Last 2 at-bats, being rewarded for trying to do the right thing.
So 3 doubles in the inning. And now Teheran a chance to bunt. Simmons to third. A strike. 3 runs on 6 hits. Think so. It's 0-2.
Bunt again. Pitchers have been working on that a lot. Braves have attempted, not counting this at bat, 5 bunts so far, and they've been successful 4 times.
He will bunt again, or try to, and he got it down with 2 strikes, and it was perfect. Man, oh man, is that a drastic improvement?
Execution. He was one of the better runners last year among the pitchers, so it's no surprise that he got it down.
But collectively, yeah, man, oh man, has that been helpful?
Yeah. Bat at the top of the strike zone, level, nothing fancy about it, just got it down.
So now the Mets infield has to come in for EY. Simmons 90 feet away. Eric 0 for 2 with 2 ground outs. And you know he'd like to bite the hand that once fed him.
Mets must be thinking about a possible squeeze here. Wright is really bird dogging Simmons. Infield is in, as you can see, but with Wright playing so close to third base, there was a hole. Now he moves off the bag some.
Down the right field line. EY's got 2 at least. Granderson over quickly. Young around second. On his way to third. Relay. Not nearly in time.
Who says you can't have curly numbers without a home or 2? And down got that with the drawn in infield, able to hook it by him. And the former Met fired up about that.
He had 5 triples with New York last year. He triples here for the Braves, who have a 3-run 5th inning, and they've opened up a 4-run advantage. All this damage done, or most of this damage done, by the bottom part of the Atlanta order. Mets bullpen goes to work. Jen?
If he likes playing here at Turner Field after what he did to the Braves wearing a Mets uniform last year. It was April 10th when he became the first Mets player in history to score 4 runs with 3 hits, 3 stolen bases. Good to have him on our team this time around, don't you think?
No question. And a spark plug at the top of the order. And now Jace Peterson with the infield in. Let's see if he can make contact. Bring home Eric Young. Big foul. No balls, 2 strikes.
Started with just that little flip double by Callaspo on a swing that was kind of off the end of the bat, but it was contact.
Three runs on 4.
Infield in. He's wanting to put the ball in play, obviously, and get that guy in. He'd like to get something he could lift with a fly ball to the outfield. Spoiled a change up there.
G has struck out 2 men tonight. Braves with only 27 strikeouts in their first 4.5 games. That ball bounced toward Murphy, and the infield in saved the Mets a run there for out number 2. Young at third, 2 outs. Nick Markakis is up. Line drive right field on the first pitch. It's 5-0. Two-hit night for Marquez and his 4th RBI.
Last night, the big 2-run inning in the 8th, highlighted by Gosling's 2-out, 2-run single. Tonight, some doubles and triples and a single, and that looked like a changeup, but he had it in the middle of the plate, and Marquez able to connect.
Shift is on for Freeman. Terry Collins would love to get G through this inning. His spot's due second in the top of the 6th.
And again, he's got 46 straight starts where he's pitched at least 5 innings.
And that is on the line with this at bat for Freddie Freeman, perhaps. And a strike away from extending that impressive run.
Last year in 2 starts against the Braves, Dylan G allowed a total of 3 runs.
5 tonight on 8 hits. Did Freeman go? Well, he tipped it. I beg your pardon. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Flores at short took a peek and then made the throw to first. Dylan G is through 5 innings for the 47th consecutive game, but the Braves touch him for 4 in the 5th inning and lead 5-0. Fifth inning, Joe. These are our Toyota keys, key plays of the game.
And you'll notice some location here, especially to Betancourt and then to Andrelton, pitches that were up, and if they fall down the line or serve down the line to try to get the runners over. Another pitch up there to Eric Young that he hooked for a triple. And again, it looked like a changeup to me. I'm not sure that it was, but it looked like a changeup that Nick was able to go down and get. That had the middle of the plate. So Dylan G made some mistakes that inning, and the Braves made him pay.
And now Julio Teheran with a 5-run lead, pitching 1 hit ball, by the way, through 5. Goes to work with the 8-hitter, the 9-hitter, and the leadoff man Granderson due up. Now he can just pound the strike zone.
We showed that graphic earlier of those other guys, those 3 guys that Julio was partnered with over the last 2 years.
The Kershaw, Wainwright,
and Scherzer
graphic.
Of those 4 guys, Teheran had the lowest run support by a lot of any of those 4 guys. Kershaw 4.6, Scherzer 3.9, Wainwright 3.7, Teheran 2.6.
So a full 2 runs less than Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah. So to your point earlier about he may not have had as many wins as those guys, he didn't get as many runs to work with.
Flores with a walk his first time up. And he's down on strikes. 5 punch outs for Teheran tonight. He's trying to go 2-0 for the Braves. And here's some other nifty company for him.
At least 50 starts since 2013. 6th in that group. And that's outstanding company.
Here's Mayberry, who homered last night. And he got his hands pulled in and drives it to center. But Young with a fine running catch robbed him of a hit.
That was a terrific read by Young because of the way that ball was hit. It was a pitch that ran in on him and he almost broke his bat, but he took a full swing at it. EY was breaking in on it right away.
Pull the string. Safe to say Julio's in rhythm now.
Yeah, and he can pick and choose his pitch counts. He can pitch backwards a little bit if he wants to with a nice lead. No, that doesn't mean he can throw the ball to second base. That means if he's behind in the count, he doesn't have to throw a fastball. 2-0, he can throw a changeup or breaking ball.
But you don't want to do that. And with David Wright coming up. Julio's second walk, and he'll go to the stretch for the first time since the 3rd inning. Anderson knows a thing or two about walks. He walked 79 times last year. So David Wright with 2 outs. Homer, by the way, snapped a streak of 203 at bats between long balls for the Mets third baseman, dating back to last year. And a strike. He's got David way behind.
Like he got that 2-seamer to run in on him a little bit. Tied him up. Then he had that shin guard on.
to short. Easy play for Simmons. Right lines out. And we head to the home sixth. Julio Teheran in command. He's firing a one-hit shutout. At Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. At Bat is up to the moment, at any moment, with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, StatCast, and more. Get MLB.com at Bat for your smartphone or your tablet. Beautiful baseball night in Atlanta.
Hello, everybody.
And all year long, our friends at Delta Airlines get us from city to city. At the end of this homestand, we'll be off to Toronto, New York, and Philadelphia before returning home to face the Washington Nationals April 27th.
This is Alex Torres. You see the numbers from spring training. 5 walks in 10 innings. He's already made an appearance this year for the Mets and walked both batters he faced in his first appearance. That's the big knock on him. Not enough strikes.
Told you last night the Mets had big concerns about the left-handed portion of their bullpen in the latter days of spring training, and in one day acquired Torres and Jerry Blevins in separate deals to help out their relief corps. So the Braves do against Torres here tonight. Kelly Johnson 1 for 2. Takes a tomahawk eye strike. A little short of the plate.
Just a little low.
Mentioned last night too that Torres was the first major league reliever to wear the new protective baseball cap while on the mound. A cap that a lot of the players found to be just too heavy, cumbersome, and uncomfortable to continue to wear. There's apparently a newly designed model that is much more streamlined, looks more like the standard cap that Torres is wearing now. But I don't think we've seen a big league pitcher wear that this year yet. At least not in our games.
That other one looked like the guy on a variety show that would come out and stack plates on his head and try to walk around so none of the plates fell off.
Right.
That's the way it looked like when he wore that giant hat. It belonged to Homer the Brave.
3-1 count. And a shot by Kelly right back up the middle. Boy, did he come on like a house of fire in the last 2 weeks of the spring. And he's been wearing out the middle of the diamond in the first week with the big club.
Good knock against the left-handed pitcher, too. 3-1 count. Got a good pitch to cover. And hit it right back at him. Knuckling, too.
So he's too closer to the 1,000 hit mark. Now 15 away is Kelly Johnson. And Castro will turn around. And in for a strike. So again, Freddie Gonzalez with the managerial pen and the ability to mix and match his lineup. Pushed another right button at third base tonight. Castro with a double and a run scored. Here's third baseman combined now with 9 hits in the first 5 games. Chris Johnson, the other part of that so-called soft platoon at the hot corner. Fly ball well hit toward left center, but Lagares is going to get there. And there's out number 1. Kelly Johnson back to first. And Jen, happy to be back home, huh?
Yeah, happy to be back in Atlanta. You got it, Chip, with the team that drafted him originally back in 2000. Kelly was with the Braves until 2009. I had a chance to talk to him both down in Miami and then earlier today, and he just talked about how special it was. He really felt he had to earn it, as you guys talked about it. It was such a motivation to get back with the team that drafted him. He said, this one's special, meaning opening day and also the home opener yesterday.
Thank you, Jen. Bethancourt the batter with man aboard, 1 out. That ball struck well towards center, and Lagares is going to make the catch for the second out. We've talked, Joe, a lot about Gomes and Brzezinski and really being very vocal, excitable leaders on this club. I think Kelly Johnson fits more into the Nick Markakis mold. His actions are going to do a lot more speaking than his vocal cords.
Well, and Kelly's not a rah-rah guy. And sometimes when you talk to those people, sometimes their words carry even more weight because they don't have a lot to say all the time. And both Markakis and Kelly have been through the wars. In fact, they played together last year in Baltimore on that team that made the postseason. But Kelly knows what it takes. He knows how the game's supposed to be played. He learned how to play the game the right way. He played for Bobby Cox when he first came up. He knows what's expected in this organization. So any of the young players can go to Kelly if they have a question, like they can any of the other veterans we talk a lot about, and get good advice.
Strike 1 for Andrelton, who doubled home a run his last time up. So he's now with 3 RBIs. Don't want to put him on that list of Mets killers too. And a looper over first. And just foul. Mets have seen enough of those for one game. That's what I'm talking about with Andrelton.
30 out of 41 games says a lot against that pitching staff. Good numbers.
And adding all the hits he's taken away from Darno alone, that's more impressive. 0-2 with Teheran on deck. 5-0 Atlanta. Freeman homer in the second and a 4-run fifth. Duda at first handled a tough hop. That will retire the side. Braves got a leadoff hit from Kelly Johnson. Nothing else, and we're on our way to inning number 7. Teheran, a one-hitter working. want to come out and see the Braves take on that mammoth man in right field, Giancarlo Stanton, and the rest of the Fighting Fish, April 13th, 14th, and the 15th. Visit Braves.com/specials for the lowest ticket prices and the best deals to see the Braves in action. Shelby Miller will get the ball for Atlanta Monday night. Boy, was he electric down in Miami with that mid-90s fastball. Trevor Cahill will make his Braves debut on Tuesday. And then Eric Stoltz will pitch the final game of the homestand against Dan Herron.
Yeah, Shelby, the ball was coming out of his hand beautifully the other night. Just his pitch count got run up because of the constant foul balls the Marlins were fighting to stay alive. Shortened his outing.
33 pitch inning. Didn't give up any runs, but yeah, that was a frustrating frame for him. Christian Yelich fouling off so many of those pitches. Miller. But no frustration for Tehran tonight. He has handcuffed the Mets, allowed only one hit, and it's the man in the batter's box, Duda, who beat the shift. He sprayed a double to left center field and was back in the Mets first.
Started him with a breaking ball just to get over breaking ball for a strike, and then through that 69-mile-an-hour lollipop curve that had him way out in front.
Back up the middle. Peterson diving try, couldn't get it. And Duda's got both Mets hits. That one came on an 0-2 count.
Fastball.
Well, the Braves are really lucky up the middle, are they not? With Simmons and Peterson. Jace plays second, but he's a shortstop too. And now Jim Lovell, Braves assistant athletic trainer, is on his way to the mound. And Tehran hurt himself trying to get out of the way of that shot back through the middle.
Looks like the way he's flexing his leg. Maybe when he squatted on his right leg there, yeah. Appears to be okay.
One more just to be sure, perhaps. He says he's all right.
Good thing, because Jim Lovell would have boxed him around a little bit if there had been the slightest hint of an injury.
So Duda at first for Michael Kadire, who has struck out twice, both times swinging. Julio has 5 whiffs in the game. And he missed inside with ball 1. Missed with 3 in a row. His bullpen starting to stir now. And 4 in a row puts Kadire at first. 2 on, nobody out. It's Brandon Kinniff who begins to loosen.
Might want to speed that up, Brandon.
Roger McDowell will buy some time, and he makes his way to the mound for the first time in the game. Murphy of the Mets is headed to the batter's box.
The first trip to the mound did not count as a trip because they were checking on him for an injury. So this is theoretically the first trip, official trip.
Opening day down in Miami, you'll recall. Teheran was cruising along. Gave up 3 straight hits in the 7th inning, loaded the bases with nobody out in a 1-1 game. Big part in a 2-1 game. Avalon got the double play. Echeverria popped out, and the Braves held on to win. And he's got 2 on with none out. He's back on the beam with a strike to Murphy.
Yeah, and that inning, as memory serves, he was getting the ball up a little bit. They've been running out of gas some. Should be fresh tonight. He's only thrown 76 pitches, but I don't know about his knee.
Murphy, then Lagares here in the 7th for the Mets.
Tip on a changeup. And we're going to start over. This pitch call here for him might be what he feels best, what he feels most comfortable throwing. After that knee check.
Breaking ball down and in. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Not the same guy, is he?
No, I was just about to say the exact same thing. Cruising along, pitching with confidence, and an 0-2 hit by Duda. Not only started this inning, but also caused him to flinch to get out of the way and hurt his knee a little bit.
Now it's Murphy trying to do his Christian Yelich impersonation. He can do that. Spoiled a couple of pitches in this sequence. Count is full. Duda at second, Kadire at first. Braves up 5-0. There's nobody out here in the 7th. Pickoff play. Just back safely was Duda. That was close.
That was an excellent time to try it, too. It pretty much lured him to sleep by just coming set and going to the plate. Coming set, going to the plate. And they almost got him. If the throw had been a little bit lower, they probably would have gotten the call.
Another 3-2 for Murphy. And they're loaded. So to use your term from earlier, it is deja vu all over again for Teheran in the 7th inning. He has loaded the bases with nobody out. Hitting back-to-back walks. And Roger McDowell to the bullpen phone with Lagares coming up. Fastball for a strike.
Always like to get a strikeout if you can when you've got bases loaded, nobody out. The potential of getting a double play later and getting out of the inning. And the way Lagares has been hacking away, this might be the right guy for that.
Good call.
Good slider off the plate. He's smart here, make him get himself out. Nice block by Christian.
He will stumble off the mound after that pitch from Tehran. Base is full for the Mets. Nobody out. Lagares, a 1-2 pitch. I don't remember him pitching ever with that kind of recoil off the left leg. Do you?
No. It's his right leg that he was favoring after that base hit. Avilan has joined the Braves bullpen work.
Ground ball toward third. Bumble. And no play. All hands are safe. So the Mets are on the board as Duda scores. That's the first error for the Braves this year. And an opportunity to get 2 or 1 goes by the boards for Callaspo.
Yeah, he was all set to come home. He just looked up before he had it in the glove. This guy's had some good swings tonight. Sent Kelly Johnson right up against the wall in deep left center last time up.
Travis d'Arnaud. That's back in the game as Tehran misses high. Flores then the pitcher spot for New York. All this started with an 0-2 count on Duda. Base hit up the middle. 2 walks and an error, and a run is in.
Almost the same exact pitch that he threw Lagares.
d'Arnaud gets hit by a pitch. And one has to wonder how much longer Tehran's going to go in the game. As I said earlier, he's not the same guy, and he's not going to go any farther. d'Arnaud drilled with the bases loaded to bring home Kadire. That makes it a 5-2 game. And Julio Tehran, who was cruising along with a 6-inning, 1-hit shutout, wasn't the same after that ball ricocheted through the box at the start of the inning. 5-2 Atlanta. The Braves bullpen's been stellar. We'll see if it can be here after this.
be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Atlanta Braves.
Don't forget, after our ball game, stay with us for Braves Live, presented by Xfinity. We'll hear from Freddie Gonzalez. And I'm sure the first question will be, how's Julio Teheran? We'll also get comments from the rest of the Braves in the clubhouse. Joe and I join the crew to break down all the action of Game 2 of our Braves-Mets series. That's Braves Live, presented by Xfinity. Julio Teheran gives way to Brandon Kinniff, who's already in, Joe, his 4th game this year.
Yeah, in the 5th game of the season. 2/3 of an inning last night with a strikeout. Bullpen has been superb.
Bullpen has not given up a run in 15 innings.
He's got a good hard sinker and slider. Maybe he can get a ground ball.
He did. Simmons to Peterson, and the flip to first, double play. A run will score to make it 5-3. But the Braves will gladly trade outs to get out of this inning. So 1 pitch, 2 outs, charge that run to Teheran. And no RBI for Flores, the penalty for hitting into the twin killing. And now Kirk Neuenhuis will bat for Torres.
Freddie Gonzalez was making sure that Neuenhuis was announced before he came out to talk to Fielding. Culbreth wants to make a double switch here.
So Kinniff continues his outstanding work. 1 pitch, double play ball. And he's rapidly gaining more and more responsibility out of the Atlanta bullpen. Luis Avilan was loosening. We might see a double switch too, for the pitcher spot is due first in the bottom of the 7th inning. It is going to be Luis Avilan. It is going to be Cameron Maybin coming in on the double switch. We'll get the infield and outfield organized for you and tell you about Avilan's start to the season after this.
Outdoors, right stuff, low price, every day.
New York with a 3-run rally in the 7th inning has chased Julio Teheran. Here are the defensive changes for Atlanta. Eric Young switches to left field now. Cameron Maybin into the game for the first time. He'll patrol center field. Kelly Johnson will move from left field to third base. That means Callaspo is out of the game. And Luis Avilan becomes the 3rd Braves pitcher. He'll hit 6th, and he'll try to retire Ruben Tejada, who's going to bat for Neuenhuis.
And the 4th game for Luis. As you said, the bullpen has been perfect.
Juan Lagares, the runner at 3rd for New York. And Tejada, with 2 outs, is the hitter. Ball 1. Sharply hit. Kelly Johnson tested right away, and Avilan and Kenneth do remarkable work for Atlanta. New York scores 3 times as we head to the stretch. Julio Teheran of the Braves still in control over the Mets. Look at Bethancourt down the right field line. He's going to drive home Callaspo. Simmons the other way as well. That's going to bring home Bethancourt. Red fair ball blasting the right field line. EY's got 2 at least. On his way to third. Relay. Not nearly on time. That is Braves baseball. Fun to watch again tonight. Braves trying to go 5-0. It's a little tighter ball game now. It's a 5-3 game. As we look at Cameron Maybin on the triple switch, he's going to lead things off. And here's our AT&T Universe trivia question: who holds the Braves franchise record for most career leadoff homers? Maybin cracked one here last night.
Braves franchise, not necessarily just Atlanta. Rafael Furcal comes to mind right away.
Yeah, you always have to make sure you read the question carefully. It says Braves. That goes all the way back to Boston. So we'll put our thinking caps on and see if we can come up with yet another correct answer. Maybin takes low from Sean Gilmartin, who had a very impressive outing here last night.
His major league debut, he retired both hitters he faced. Ground ball from Markakis, struck out Freddie Freeman. A guy who was a former first-round pick by Atlanta. And makes his home in Norcross now.
Three straight off the plate. Maybin can fly. We'll take a walk if we can get it.
Heck yeah. Drive that Mets dugout crazy too after getting 3 to get back in the ball game. Walk the next leadoff guy.
And like the Braves, the Mets are in find out as you go mode with regards to their relief corps. They have not, however, had nearly the success. Bullpen's given up 5 earned runs in their last 6 innings collectively. Suffered another body blow today as Maybin drives one down the right field line. Long run Granderson, and he won't have a play. You knew about the elbow troubles of Henry Mejia, who would be Mets closer. Henry Mejia was suspended 80 games today for use of a performance-enhancing drug. It was announced by Major League Baseball today. He's lost for the first half of the season for New York. Slow roller towards short. Flores, no time to think, and he made a perfect throw. Nice comeback for Gil Martin. Down 3-0. He got Maben to roll out to short.
I think it was the substance that was the same thing that tripped up Irvin Santana.
And Arodys Vizcaíno. 4 guys in the same week with the same substance. I think it's called stanolazole or something like that.
Something like that.
Arodys Vizcaíno with the Braves was tripped up, I believe, on that as well. So 1 out for Eric Young, who takes a strike. Young tripled home a run in the 5th and scored himself on a Markakis single. It was part of the 4-run 5th that ended the night for Dylan G. No swing. And even count. Tipped at the plate. Murphy to his right. Off balance throw. Nice play. 2 out. No sign of hamstring troubles for Daniel Murphy in this series. It's a concern for New York in the latter stages of the spring.
Yeah, he's moving a lot better than I think we expected to see. Especially on that slow roller where he had to charge and make a barehanded play last night.
Let's see if Jace can pick up a 2-out hit. Always interested in seeing how young left-hand hitters fare against left-handed pitching. So a test for Peterson here. Good idea. Jace might have been asking the home plate umpire, was that a strike?
Yeah, because he was having to try to, like his back pockets were going in the opposite direction of his bat.
1 ball, 2 strikes. And that ball in the dirt, Peterson didn't get it. Sean Gilmartin continues his dazzling work in relief. 3 up, 3 down, and we head to the 8th. When the top of the order will come to the plate.
TrueStart.com to see the only 8-in-1 all-purpose lifter, carrier, and mover that lightens every load.
Joe and Chip with you from the ballpark. Jen Hildreth here as well with the rest of our terrific Fox Sports crew. Atlanta with a 5-3 lead headed to the 8th inning. Cameron Maybin was pictured during our trivia question query. And the question was, who holds the Braves franchise record for most career leadoff home runs?
I'm going to stick with my shortstop pick,
which was Rafael Furcal. I'm going to wait a pitch. As Curtis Granderson leads off for the Mets. It was all about leadoff homers. 4 last year, 2 against the Braves. That's up and in, ball 1. I'm going to say roll it office. Why not? Right answer, wrong question. I said Felipe Alou earlier this year.
Yeah, right. For the first hit.
Wires are just a little crossed. Granderson to left and playable for Young. He's got it. There's out number 1. Now you've got 2 right-handed batters. I beg your pardon, 1 right-handed batter, David Wright, then Duda. Kadire, Murphy, Lagares for New York. Braves bullpen is busy. And it's Juan Jaime. It was good to get that first one. It was right. 0 for 3. He golfs one to center, and Maybin's on his horse, still going back onto the warning track. He's going to get there. David Wright has hit the ball awfully hard in this series. Nothing to show for it tonight.
There's that right center field power. That's the way Maybin had him played, however. See, Cameron was already shading him over toward right center just like last night. This time he did hit it where they were playing him.
Now here's the challenge for Avalon, quite obviously, and Lucas Duda, who's a big-time power hitter. We mentioned last night the kryptonite for Lucas Duda is a left-handed pitcher. Last year, Duda hit 180 against lefties and struck out 41 times in 111 at-bats against them.
Well, speaking of kryptonite, it was a hard battle this spring to find a lefty in the Braves stable that could get left-handed hitters out. They had all kinds of problems. James Russell had a problem all year last year getting lefties out, and he wound up getting released in spring training.
2 balls, no strikes. They're coming in on Duda. Got it there and bounced a foul. Yeah, James was picked up by the Cubs. They signed him to a minor league contract,
which is where he came from.
And there are the splits for Lucas Duda in his big league career. Fouled off his foot.
There's a shin guard on, but it doesn't guard the top of his foot. Hey, I'm in on that. How about you, Chip?
Love it.
I don't think anyone's ever done it before.
No. That would be an ultimate trivia question answer. Name the first major league team. I think that's what's so interesting about this start. No one really knew quite what to expect once the bell rung for real from his ball club. Winning the first game of the year the way they wanted. And in Miami was terrific, as was that pitch. Pretty close.
Yeah, I kind of like this one. took a little off the breaking ball. Great job by Christian to try and frame it. Just missed the outside corner for Fielding Colbert.
Popped him up on a 3-2 count. Duda pops it straight up, and that's going to take care of the Mets in the 8th inning. Avilan with a terrific inning and a third of work. It sets up nicely for Atlanta. 5-3, 8th inning. Pops used to say around times like this,
a little insurance would be nice.
And indeed it would.
We got to find a way to hit Sean Gilmartin. He hasn't given up anything. They'll face Markakis, Freeman, and then Kelly Johnson. I think you made a great point last night. See what kind of punch counterpunch goes on as this season moves along. Right now the Braves have 3 left-handed bats in a row in the middle of the order, which means the Mets don't have to change their relief pitcher as long as he's pitching effectively.
And with Jace Peterson and Kelly Johnson in there tonight, that makes 4 lefties in a row that are strictly left-handed. But with so much platooning going on, it essentially boils down to these 2 guys, Markakis and Freeman, on a every night basis.
2 more hits for Nick tonight.
Well, that's a slow off-speed pitch. A changeup. 77 last inning, 78 there. He's got a good over-the-top hook. Again, the Braves traded him last year for Ryan Dolman.
Full count. Second multi-hit game of the season for Markakis. And he hits one toward right. And that's playable for Curtis Granderson. He's got it. And there's out number 1.
3-2 changeup.
Freddie Freeman homered to start the ball game for the Braves. A leadoff shot in the second, his first of the year. First run allowed by Dylan G. First of 5. The Mets right-hander surrendered in the game. As good as Dylan G is against the Braves, that is a huge offensive output for the Atlanta Ball Club tonight. Big inning, a 4-run 5th. 3 doubles, a triple, and a single.
Different type lineup, different approach, and will give them some confidence the next time they see him.
Breaking ball. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Steady diet of breaking balls and change-ups to the left-handers. It started with Jace Peterson last inning. It looked like Freddie stayed back pretty well on that, but just was under it.
And he's down on strikes. Is that Sandy Koufax or Sean Gilmartin out there?
It is off-speed Gilmartin.
So Chris Johnson will hit for Kelly Johnson here. And you have to change the name on the line of the scorecard, do you?
Nope.
And once Chris is announced, Terry Collins will go grab the baseball. And he'll give Sean Gilmartin a pat on the back, justifiably so. He's had a very good series out of the Mets bullpen. 5-3, bases empty, 2 outs for the Braves, who lead 5-3. Opening season series in Atlanta is sponsored by Chevrolet. It's been a good series for the Braves to this point. They won 5-3 last night. They're leading 5-3 in game 2 tonight. As you see the knee brace, the Braves great Sid Bream, who joined us last night. Part of the Braves memorabilia collection in the Hall of Fame and Museum here at Turner Field.
If I'd known that, I would have saved my boot from last year.
In your cart?
Jimmy.
I forgot it was Jimmy. Goodell versus Chris Johnson. Goodell came on last night, worked a scoreless 6th inning. And off the plate ball, too.
And again, the same thing applies to him. He's got a good arm, throws hard. But the question is, how many strikes? He was bouncing his breaking ball just about every time he threw it warming up.
Serve to shallow right. Granderson broke back, now recovers. And he will get there to retire the side. So 8 innings are in the books in Atlanta. The Braves need 3 outs to make it 5 straight to start the year.
Presented by Georgia Power and your local Ford dealer.
To the ninth inning we go, 5-3 Atlanta. Before we tell you who's on to close, let's tell you what's in store tomorrow afternoon. Our Chevron starting pitchers, good matchup. Alex Wood for the Braves. The buxom Bartolo Colon for the Mets.
I don't think he's ever been called that before. But
I mean, that is one lumpy dude, man, but he's a terrific pitcher.
That's a belly laugh for you. Colon's already pitched once this year, and he beat the Washington Nationals. 6 innings, a 3-hit, 1-run ball. Struck out 8. And Jim Johnson on to close this one out and try to earn the save tonight.
Taxing pitches for Grilli last night, the reason you think?
He was up near 30 pitches.
Johnson worked an inning, so he'll try to nail it down. And you talk about impressive weeks in a new uniform. Well, you'd have to say that about Jim Johnson. Everything in the low to mid 90s with action and sink. Career 81% success rate in saves, back-to-back seasons over 50 in 2012 and 2013. There's the sinking action. 1-2.
Watch this fastball go down.
Just missed.
And he is so right over the top, downhill. It looks like he's throwing harder than 94.
To second, friendly hop. There's out number 1, and that's a telling out for Johnson. He's right. He's going to get a lot of ground ball outs. So Kadyr's retired in the 9th. Now Daniel Murphy. Ground ball to short. Should be easy. It is easy. Jim Johnson had 2 saves last year. They came with Oakland. His last save was May 7th. He's an out away from clinching the series for Atlanta and making it a 5-0 start. And listen to the crowd at Turner Field.
Said it a million times, Chip. Closers have to be able to throw strikes. In close ball games, you can't walk people. And so far, he and Grilli have really buried the strike zone.
1994 Braves started 7-0. The Braves are a strike away from going 5-0.
That was a changeup.
The 1-2 pitch.
Another great crowd here tonight. Hope to see you out here tomorrow afternoon.
Now it's 2-2. Now it's 3-2. Want to bring the tying run to the plate. See if Jim can finish off Lagares here. Payoff pitch in the top of the 9th.
keep in mind that the Mets only have 2 hits tonight. When they got their 3 runs, they did it on 1 hit, 2 walks, a hit batsman, and an error. Both the hits tonight belong to Lucas Duda. Six. Man.
Will he throw him another changeup here?
I don't think so. He hasn't caught up to the fastball yet.
High hopper. Johnson can't get it. Simmons can't get it. And Lagares just beat one into the ground. That's all you can get is the top half of the baseball for Jim Johnson. And that worked out for New York, an infield hit. After Lagares started the sequence 0-2.
I don't know what happened there. It looked like Chris was getting his feet set to get ready to catch and throw this ball, and then he backed off. I don't know if Anderson called him off, but the only play they had was to catch that high chop in the air, not to let it bounce again. A little miscommunication there.
That's the 3rd Mets hit. Darno hitless, but he's hit the ball hard a couple of times. Dangerous hitter. Yanked foul. Strike 1. Simmons at short. He's going to get Darno again with a scoop. Yes, Braves win it. They're 5-0. First save for Jim Johnson since May 7th. Number 125 in his career. And the good times continue in Atlanta as the Braves knock off the Mets by a 5-3 final score.
Hamilton had a little trouble getting that out of his glove. Didn't get a lot on the throw, but as per usual, a lot of help on the other side from Freddie Freeman.
Julio Teheran wins it. Dylan G loses it. Jim Johnson saves it. And the Braves 5-0 go for a sweep tomorrow.